Hello and welcome to Dexter Demo. Dexter.io, Dextr.io is our interactive presentation tool, and we're going to spend some time today understanding how to use it. The very first thing is you type your URL, which is host.dexter.io, into the Chrome browser. Then you come and type your username. In this case, I'm using a demonstration credentials. So it's demo@dexter.io. I have already entered my password. You'll have to enter your username and your password. And once you hit the login button, you are going to be taken to a screen that looks like this. On this screen, you have a few options. Let's take them one step at a time. The very top bar, the first on the left is the logo. And on the right is your name. The name I've given to this account is Dexter.io Premium. Most likely, when you log in, you're going to see your name on here. Once you take your mouse pointer on it, you're going to see two options: to change password and to log out. Log out is straightforward. Change password looks like this. You click on it. You are now allowed to enter your current password and enter a new password, retype it and submit. And that's going to change the password to something else. Please be aware that when you change your password, you are likely to be logged out of the system and you have to log back in with your new password. This is the one possibility that can happen from here. Other than that, there is a menu bar, and more menu items will be shown depending on what page you are on. But right now, you're only going to see my presentations as one options, and you're already there. Since this is the very first time I've logged in with this username and password, I am going to see a message that says, looks like you don't have any presentations. Do you want to create one? You can either click on this, or preferably if you can click on this, because this button is going to be around all the time. I click on this, it's going to ask me what is the presentation title. And I am going to say the presentation title is slide type demonstration and say okay. Once the page refreshes and reloads, what you're going to see is that a presentation has been created for you, which has the title here. It shows that it has one slide because that slide has been automatically created for you. It shows the last updated date and the created date, both of which happen to be today. Under that, you have four buttons. If I start from right, the very first one from the right side is a black button with a paintbrush on it, which represents themes. So if I click on theme, what is going to happen is I'm going to see two options: common themes and my themes. Common themes is something that everybody has access to, even if you're using a free limited version account. You will have a light theme and a dark theme to pick from. And it tells you what background color, what text color, what font is being used, and what name has been given. It even shows you a background image that has been chosen. If you are going to pick the dark theme, in the dark theme, you're going to see once again the name of the theme, the background color, the text color, and the font that is being used, something called philosopher. If you see right now, by default, a light theme has been set, but you have an option to select dark. If you see, it says light-current. That means that's the one selected. But if I click on set this theme now, I am going to ensure that that theme is selected for this presentation. So that is what a theme is about. Also, if you own a premium license, you can click on my themes, and you have an option to create your own theme, give it a name, get a background color of your choice, get a text color of your choice, upload a background image, and select a font. You have a few font choices to pick from, which have been carefully curated and picked for you. Once you do that, you have your own theme, and you can select it just like a common theme. That is the theme functionality. The second button, starting from right going left, is this blue button that is about clone. Let me click on this and see what happens. If I click on the clone button, another version of the same thing has been created, a new presentation which says slide type demonstration -copy to signify that it is a copy. Once again, it has all the same things. Now let us try what happens when you click on the delete button. Obviously, it is going to delete the slide for you, presentation for you. If I click on delete, because I just wanted to demonstrate the clone functionality, I don't really need a second presentation now. I click on this, it's going to give you an option This will be deleted. Are you sure? You say okay, then the presentation gets deleted. You are left with the one that you are going to attempt now. With pretty much everything else on the screen taken care of, let's look at finally the big green button that says present. And I click on that, and it opens up for you a presentation which has one slide in it, which has a few things on the top here and a few fields on the right side. There is 2 rows, and the second row basically has 3 columns. Let's take a look at it one after the other. The first thing in the top left corner is my presentations. This is a way for you to go back to the page that we just came from. So if I was to click on this once again, it is going to take me back to the presentations page. And this is where you have the listing of all your presentations. I click on present once more. I now come back to this place and see that I can change the title of the presentation itself by clicking and typing right here. So I can go here and let's say I want to change it from slide type demonstration to slide type demo. I could do that. And if I click outside of that box once, that thing will get saved with the new title. This is another important thing that you need to realize about Dexter, the tool. There is no save button anywhere. Every time you click on something, type something somewhere or select an option, it gets instantly saved as soon as you click away from it somewhere. So that is the first thing. This is the slide title editing part. Then on the left is present. So if I was to click on this present, basically you're going to go full screen and you're going to see how the presentation looks. I can hit escape and come back to this. Another way you can go to full screen, if you don't want to click on present, you can hit on F for full screen. You hit F, it goes to full screen. You hit escape, it comes back from full screen to edit mode. The next button is add slide, and we're going to look at it in a bit. If we go all the way to the right, there is a presentation code. The presentation code for this specific presentation is 388152. And this is the code that you are going to share with your participants so that they can interact with you on this presentation. When I have gone full screen, observe how on the top right corner, you're going to see guest.dexter.io, which is the URL. And in a box, the same number is visible at all times. So when your participants are participating with you, they will be able to see this code and enter it and come along and participate. That is the first row. In the second row, the first column is the listing of all your slides. So if I was to click on add slide now, when the page refreshes, you will see a second slide has been added to this presentation. And you can now click on that and that will be focused. If I go back here, that concludes the first column. In the second column, this is mostly for visibility purposes. You also have a way to go next and previous in the slides by clicking these buttons. The third column on the right side is the most important one because all the magic happens here. So let's take a look at it one after the other. The selected tab at the moment is called text. And in here is heading, subheading, notes, and reactions. So this is a heading. So if I click in it, I delete, like I did in the presentation title itself. If I delete the heading of this slide from slide type demonstration to slide type demo, see that nothing is happening here. But the moment you click out of it is when it instantly gets updated. This has been saved in the database and you will never have to hit a save button or remember to save or any of those things. Subheading is once again like this. I can type subheading here. Once I'm done, it appears right under it in smaller fonts. And then there are slide notes for your reference only. So even though I click outside and slide notes are saved, if I was to click outside, this will not appear on your slide here. So if I'm to click on present, that will never appear here. The slide notes are saved and saved for your reference only. Under it, you will see reactions. Let me just click on the heart icon and the question mark icon for now. See what happens when I hit on present, under here, in the bottom right corner, if you observe, there is a heart icon and there is a question mark icon. This is the icon which can be interacted with by your participants. Any participant who goes on guest.dexter.io, enters 388152, will now be seeing an option to hit either the heart icon or the question mark icon. And if they do it, that interaction will immediately show here as the count. Okay. So I go here, I hit escape. I can click or for enable or disable of any of these 4 icons, and we are good to go. This that you saw just now is basically one type of slide, and that type of slide is called title page. A title page has a heading and a subheading. If I was to create a different kind of slide, what I'm going to do is I am going to now click on a second slide, which I had just added a while ago. I go here and I can see that I can change this from title page to bullet page. If I do that, what will happen is that I have access to something called bullets, and under it a button that says add. If you notice, in the first one, when I was looking at this, the title, the slide type being the title page, I have only got heading and subheading. But the moment I create a bullet type slide, I have heading, subheading, and along with notes, there is bullets as well. Let us update this a bit, change it from this to bullet page. Go here, get rid of a subheading because we don't need that. I click on add and bullet text appears here. I can click on 1, I click on add, instantly bullet text 1 gets added and the second one gets added as well. I have updated number 2 to this one. I click on add and then a third one gets added. I click on 3 and click on add, a fourth one gets added. If you don't want to keep adding, if you added something by mistake, you can click on the edit and the bullet will be deleted. Once again, in any kind of delete action, you'll be asked for your confirmation. It will tell you that the bullet will be deleted. Are you sure? You say yes and okay, and that bullet gets deleted. As you can observe, again, there is no saving involved in this. This is instantly saved to the database. This is the second type of page, which is the bullet page. Once again, you can enable any number of icons out of the 4 that you have. You can have only 1 icon, 2, 3, 4 icons. The value of these reaction icons will show in a bit once the participants will start interacting with it. That would be the second type of slide. Let me add one more slide type now. And I'm going to go into the third type, select that once it's been added, go from the text to type tab, and I have title and bullet have been covered. I click on icons. Okay. As you can see, there is a display icon here as well. The T stands for title. This representation stands for bullets. This stands for I for icon. And you can get a quick idea of what this is from there as well. So if I select this and I'll just change the title so we remember which one is which one. This is icons page. I go here. I get rid of the subheading. I come to this page. And if you see, once again, it looks very much like how bullets would look. I can click on bullets. And in here, I'm going to change this from icon bullet to icon and type 1 into this. I click on add. What happens if you see is that there is icon text visible here. On top of that, there is this strange line in white. And yet one more that looks like this. So I could do here, icon text 2. I add one more and I change that to icon text 3. Once again, if you by mistake add something or want to change something, you can always hit on this delete icon. But if you observe right next to the delete icon, there is yet another button-like thing with 3 dots in it. That is where you select the icon. So I could click on this and I will get a list of all the possible icons that I can select from. So if I wanted to select, let us say anchor, Okay, that appears right here. I could click another one. I could say bicycle, and that comes right here as well. I go to the third one and I say select book, and these three things come here. This is what an icon page looks like. It is slightly different from the bullets page in the sense that one, it looks very different, and two, along with the bullet text, you also have an option to select an icon. That would be the third type of page. Let's say I wanted to add a fourth type of page now. I click on add slide. The fourth slide page appears. I click on the fourth added one. I go to type. I click on image. Okay. Now you see something different happened here. The image, this image of the galaxy, dark background or whatever, is no longer covering the full image, but part image. It's almost like it has been framed. Let me get the heading changed to image slide. Step out of it, change the title. I select the subheading, get rid of that. Click here. And now I have an image slide with a title here. Let me take you to another place in the tab which says colors/image. We will revisit this in much more detail in a while, but right now for image slide, you have an option to go here and you have an option to click on this and basically be able to select an image. If you select an image from your computer, what is going to happen is that it is going to upload the image for you and immediately change that for the audience. This image, the other good thing that happens with an image type slide is that it is visible on your audience's phone as well. So once in a while, if you want to show a high quality image to your participants and the internet connection on the shared screen is not that great, then showing this image on their mobile device as participant is going to make them much more appreciate the quality of the image or the concept that you're trying to explain. That takes care of the image slide. Let me click on add slide once more and let me add a fifth type of slide, which is a video slide. So if I was to click on video now, see instantly what happens. There is a message that comes up which says no video file selected. Basically, you can link to a YouTube video. There is no opportunity for you to upload a video of your own because those videos can be heavy files. They are best handled by professional services like YouTube, which are dedicated for video hosting. So if you have a video file, you might want to upload that to YouTube, get the link from there, and then post it here. So let me see what I can do. I am going to say video slide. I'm going to get rid of this subheading. Okay, it still says no video file selected. Once again, if I go back to colors/image, what will happen? Where you had background image selection, now it has a YouTube link. Okay, so let me now go and get something from YouTube. If I go to YouTube and I see a video that I like, let's say I click on this. Once I've got that, I basically look at the URL bar here. Pay attention. Don't copy from anywhere else other than this place. If you look at the URL bar, you can copy this. I'm doing Control-C or Command-C on Mac. I close this. I come and paste my video link here. Once I hit out of that, immediately that video is going to come appear here and you can click on it and you play. One small caveat here. Let us say I make one small mistake and I don't copy it right or something goes wrong and I paste something that does not exist. I click on this. Let's say I remove the last K, for example. I click out. Obviously, the system is not going to understand that this video does not exist. It still tries to play. And if you were to click on the play button now, YouTube is going to show you some weird error like an error occurred. please try again later, playback ID, this, learn more. If you click on learn more, you're going to get into 200 different kinds of possible errors. The very first thing I want you to check if your video is not playing and it is on YouTube is make sure that you've copied the URL correct. I replace the K back. I click outside. The video should, wait, what happened here? Okay, I did not. If I replace the K, the video should start once again looking right. So this is our fifth type of slide. Let me click on add slide once more and try and get the next one. I click on the newly added slide. I go here and I see there is something called leaderboard. I'm going to leave this alone for a while because I'm going to cover this entire thing about how to organize a quiz and a combination of leaderboard style slide, what's your name, and multiple choice together play really well when you're creating a quiz. So I'm going to leave that out for a while. Okay. So that concludes our display slides category altogether. Thank you. We are now going to spend a little bit of time in recording interactive slides and how to use them. The sixth type of slide I'm going to pick now is going to be called make a choice. I click on make a choice. And once I click on that, see instantly something different happened. The title went right up rather than being in between. I click on this and I observe it is black. It is make a choice. I come back and I see once again there is an option to add bullets. So I go here and I'm going to say multiple choice. That gets updated. I select the subheading, get rid of that. That goes away. I add this. I type 1. I add one more. I type 2. I add one more and type 3. And you're observing that nothing is happening on the screen. That's because one more small step needs to be done before a multiple choice option starts working. I have an option wherein I can click on more, and in here you will see suddenly that there are two options. Up to this point there was nothing in it, therefore I did not show it. But because I've now selected a multiple choice option, you have a chart type to select from. Once I click on that option, I'm going to see either a column chart or a pie chart. I'm going to show you two versions of both of them. Column chart is one. Once again, chart colors are slightly advanced features for people who want to control every aspect of the color of the charts as well. If you are a beginner and you're watching this video, I strongly urge you against using this now. You need to understand color theory, how colors work, and be able to get it properly with right hex codes for it to work. Initial stages, stay away from this for a while. Once you're a little more comfortable with the platform, come back and use the chart colors. Okay. I go back here, I see this, and you're now beginning to see how there is bullet text 1, 2, 3, and there seems to be the beginning of something. Once we demonstrate this entire application, you are going to see how voting and responses happen on this platform. I have an option where I can click add slide, right? However, I want you to pay attention to the bottom left corner of your screen right now, because I'm going to demonstrate one other feature that you can do from here. Because I'm just going to create a pie chart instead of a column chart, I want everything else to remain same. I'm going to right click on this. Okay. Once I right click, I see there are three options: duplicate, move to, and delete slide. If I click on duplicate, what's going to happen is that the screen is going to refresh. And once it loads back, you're going to see that the exact replica of that has been done with the same thing. I'm now going to call it multiple choice pie. I'm going to click out of this so that it gets saved here. I go on more. And now, even though it is selected as column chart, I am going to select it as pie chart. I change that. And once I've changed it, once I'm presenting it, you are going to see how things would have changed a little. Otherwise, there's no real difference here. The thing remains constant. I click on add slide once more to demonstrate the next kind of slide. In here, I'm going to go to select type. After make a choice, I see a quick word. A quick word, when I click on it, once again, it goes to the top. I am going to say quick word responses. This is an interactive type of slide. I'm going to get rid of this and go here. What is going to happen now is when this slide is being presented to your audience, they are going to see a form in which they can type and send a response. When we're doing the full demonstration of this, you will see how when people contribute to it, how the text appears on various screens. This is a quick word is a type of screen in which you are asking for people to type their answers rather than select an answer like in multiple choice. I click on add slide once more to create a new kind of slide, which is the 9th slide that I'm creating today. I go here and I go on type. It says after quick word, there is something called share in detail. I click on share in detail, and what will happen is that pretty much nothing changes here. I am going to say share in detail, click outside, make sure that is saved, get rid of this. I don't like subheadings, but if you do, you can always use them. What happens is this looks very much like a title slide, but it is the share in detail slide. We will once again in demonstration show when people type something in it, what kind of responses do come. The next type of slide is called what's your name? But like I said, this works really well with a quiz along with the leaderboard. At this point, we have covered the 3 interactive slides, make a choice, a quick word, and share in detail. We are going to create the next step, which is creating a quiz, and then group these things together so that you can add them. Thank you. And let's try and create a quiz type slide today. A quiz is basically just like make a choice page, except in this slide type, you will have an option to the audience to answer faster, get more points, have a leaderboard, display that, and all of that. Okay, so we'll create a quiz from scratch now in the order that it is best advised to create. I'm going to add a slide. And in this slide, I'm going to select the type as what's your name. I click on what's your name. Verify that it is black and it has been selected. Sometimes when you see nothing has visually changed on the screen, it is best to go back and check if it has actually changed or not. You might have clicked outside somewhere, to be careful. Once I come to the text again, I am going to say, what is your name? I'm going to do this. I'm going to get rid of the subheading and just leave it at this. What will happen now is that your audience will now be allowed to type a name that identifies them. An icon is going to be assigned to them. Usually when somebody logs into guest.dexter.io, a fun little name which contains an adjective and an animal, and the icon of that animal is assigned to them as their avatar. However, if you wanted to conduct a quiz contest, it makes a little more sense to have their name. So it's best for them to change their name to this. Let them type a name. Once they get there, we are good to go to participate in the quiz. So whenever you're creating a quiz page, unless you actually want to keep it anonymous, if you want to give your participants an option to change their anonymously assigned name, it is best if you allow them to change their name with the slide type called what's your name. That should usually be the first step of your quiz contest. Let me click on add slide once more and create an actual quiz. I click on this now, and I see that there's a quiz that has appeared. I am going to click multiple choice. And if you see, instantly, there's a big button that says start quiz. That is your indication that this is a quiz style page. Let me in here ask a question, okay? And that question is, what is your choice? Obviously, you are going to create much more meaningful questions that make sense here. Okay, I am going to get rid of this subheading and I'm going to click on add. Once again, this is very much like a bullet. I'm going to say red color as one option. I'm going to say green color as a second option. And I am going to say blue color as the third option. Obviously, there is nothing right or wrong about any of these colors. So let me make this a little more meaningful then. Which is the last color in the rainbow? Now, this is a meaningful question. Depending on whether you start with violet or red, there is only one option here, which has to be the last color in the rainbow. And that is the red color. So I want to mark this as correct now. So if you observe, right immediately to the left of the delete button, which is usually there, and there is a blue cross mark. And if you put your pointer on it, it says mark as correct answer. If I was to click on this, this turns it green, which means that there is a right answer to this question. And that right answer is green, marked in green. It's called red color. Okay, this is the wrong answer. This is the wrong answer. And therefore they have put as cross. Assume there were two correct answers possible to this. Violet is one way of looking at it as the last one. So if I was to click outside of that, update that to violet, I can click on this. Whether they select either red color or violet color, the participants are going to be marked as correct, and green color is going to be marked as wrong. So this is how you create the quiz, except there is one final step to do in this, and that final step is to click on more, and once again, select how you want to visualize the data. Do you want to do a column chart or a pie chart? I always like column chart, so I pick column chart. The second thing you have to do here is you want to select how much time you want to assign for your participant. I'm going to say 20 seconds is enough to answer this question. Remember, this number is in seconds, so you can click in this box and update it to any number of seconds. I've set it to 20, and in our practice, we have found that between 20 and 30 seconds is the right amount of time, but you can customize this based on your understanding. So what I've done now is I've added a quiz, and in that quiz, there's a question. There are 3 options, and 2 of them are correct. 1 of them is wrong. That ends the quiz part. Let me add slide and introduce one final missing piece in the puzzle to make the quiz more interesting. And that part is called the leaderboard. I select the latest added slide. I go to type, and I see that there is a leaderboard button here in blue. I click on the leaderboard. I go here and change it to leaderboard, add a subheading if I need one, and say something like these are the current standings, and we are good to go. So basically, people come and enter their name. People take a quiz by pressing it on their phone. And once they have done, depending on how fast and how correct they have answered, they'll be allocated marks between 1000 and 1200 points. 1000 is the marks for correct answer, and between 0 and 200, depending on how fast you answered. So at most, you can score 1200 points. Once you've got that sorted, we have finally got the leaderboard, which is going to show the names of all the people and their standings in the leaderboard. This combination of what's your name, quiz, and leaderboard completes the quiz portion of the Dexter demonstration. One thing you can keep in mind is you can add as many questions as you want, one after the other. Let people take that quiz and answer as many questions as they want. You can keep finally a leaderboard and say, okay, after 5 questions being answered, this is the current standings. You can take a small break from the quiz, do a little more of the session, come back and create yet another quiz with 2-3 more questions and add yet another leaderboard. And this time, the second leaderboard is going to show them marks, including all the previous points as well. That is the leaderboard style page. And in combination with quiz, it works really well in creating an interactive quiz. In quiz, remember though, after you've done these, do not forget to click on more and select a chart type and quiz time. If you miss any one of these, the quiz is not going to function. If you set it to 0, it is going to start and end immediately. And if you have a chart type which has not been selected, the final results will not be able to be visualized. So heading, subheading, add the options, pick one that marks it as right, or tick again and mark it as wrong. Go to more, select chart type, enter quiz time in seconds, and you are good to go. Place the what is your name and leaderboard before and after the quiz, and you've got a solid system of quiz contest. And if you spread this across, you've got a tournament. That completes the 3 types of slides or 3 categories of slides that we wanted to demonstrate, which is display slides, in which we covered title, bullet, icons, image, and video. We then did interactive slides, which had make a choice, a quick word, and share in detail. And finally, we did a quiz contest, which took slides from all 3 categories. 1 called what's your name, 2 called leaderboard, 2 called multiple choice, and 3 called leaderboard. The only one thing that remains is a novelty page. There's one called collaborative art and one called decision forest. Because it's a little more complex, we are going to cover this in a separate video. Let's do a quick run now, start to end, and see what happens. I'm going to go from here, the first slide. I've got a participant today, and that participant is sitting with 2 or 3 mobile phones, hopefully. And we'll see how to showcase the participation in here as well. The only one last thing I want to showcase here is the type is covered, text is covered. More comes for 3 or 4 types of slides only, but you have to select that. But the 4th tab here is called colors and images. This is a text color. So if you click in this, you get a text selector, and you might pick something like this. And if you do that and click outside, what is going to happen is it is going to change the text color in real time as well. Again, I'm not a big fan of that color, so I'm going to go back to white, but know that you have full choice. You can drag here to change the color to anything you want. Once you have selected that, you can pick something, and whatever color has been selected is visible here first. Once you click outside, that gets applied instantly. I'll go back to it being white. Now I want you to introduce to a background color and opacity. Background color is this. No, let's change the image first. The 3rd option is called background image. If I was to click on this and I hit on A to Z of facilitation, which is an image that I have created, I click on that, that image is now going to become the background. If no image has been selected, then the theme default is applied. But if you select an image, that image gets displayed here. If you go back, you will see you have an option to click and remove that background image. If you do that, once again, you get back to, the theme default image. But you observe what happens here. There is something called opacity. It is a number between 1 to 100. Let's say I type 1 and say okay. You see what happens is because there is so much white in the background and the text is white, this slide is no longer visible because it is merging with the background itself. So this is what opacity is about. You first select a color, the background color that you want. I want a black background. Think of it like layers. The image is on one layer. On top of that, I am putting a transparent, semi-transparent layer to see through. So if I was to change the opacity from 1 to 50, let us say, I click on that, then a semi-transparent black layer is put on the image, And thereby the text that you have typed, which has white in it, becomes a little more visible. Once again, you have an option to pick whatever color you want. You could go, for example, and do this, and that tint or that shade is applied. My experience has been that if I go and select a black one and a white text on it, or a white one and black text on it, that stands out really well. So that is about the colors and images. If I look at the second slide, colors, I will see that I have an option to pick a background image. That means no image has been picked. That means the theme default is being used. In here, I have decided to override the background image, and therefore this thing has come. So you can download and upload images. Be sure that the image that you are uploading is not more than 10 MB, because if you set a very high size image as your background, the people who are going to be using this in the participants, they are going to struggle a bit because it takes a little time to load on all screens. So be very careful to upload a small image. We are going to optimize the image size also, but if you try to upload something over 10 MB, we will not be accepting and uploading it. There are enough online resizing software applications. So if you go to Google and search for image resize, they'll allow you to upload your image and download a smaller size image, and you can come and upload that here. So that's about the image. And finally, I have one tab which looks like the gear, and it has three options, three big buttons. One which is in black, which says reset all votes. Now imagine you have done an entire session where people have voted on your presentation. If you want to reuse the presentation, you click on this and all votes are cleared. Once we do a demonstration, I'll come back and show you how reset all votes works. Another one is show all bullets and hide all bullets. Once again, I think this will make a lot more sense once we actually do the session and come back. The only thing I want you to observe here is called show joining code. So if I was to take this off, let's say this was messing with the look of the background. If I do that and I go to present it, if you see, this one has the code in it. If I go back one step in here, that joining code has been disappeared from the screen. In the top right corner, it's not there. I go to the next one, it is visible. That is because in the settings, I have said no to show joining code. I'm going to turn this on once more, and I'm going to do a presentation. Observe how this works for the when the participants actually start to participate. I click on present, or like I said, I can hit F. Once I'm on this screen, I can do either right or left arrow key for it to move forward or next. Because many people like to actually click on the slides as they're explaining some text, we have disabled for the moment clicking of slide to change the slide itself. We are going to now go on to the next slide and see that there is code 388152. I'm going to enter that on my phone. Once I do that, I'm going to get an option that looks like this. On the phone, there is a option, and I can hit on the phone, the heart icon. If I hit that, observe in the bottom right corner how the heart choice has changed. So I've got a participant sitting with me who is going to press on this. Let us say I press on the question mark icon. The question mark icon count increases as well. So you can use this to your benefit when you ask a question and say, if you know, hit the heart icon. If no, if you don't know, then hit the question mark icon, and you are in a position to actually show this. If you observe in the bullet page, the three bullets are not visible right now. When I hit the right button, they appear one after the other. Once again, this is our advice on how to do sessions. Don't show all bullets at once so that people are not spending time reading your bullets rather than listening to you. However, if you do like showing all bullets at once, or there is a use case which calls for it, there is a way in which you can do it, and I'll showcase to you as soon as this demo is over. If I hit on the right button now, another page comes up. Once again, it is the icons page. I click on the right, that appears. Click once more right, click once more right, and one after the other, that appears. If I was to hit the heart icon again, if you observe in the bottom right corner, the heart has got a number 1 on top of it. I go to the next slide and I see it's an image slide. And because this is an image slide, the image itself is going to be visible on the phone. So if I was to show this on the screen, if you can observe, I am following along. On my phone, the image is visible as well. Once again, the interactions can happen on this one. I go to the next slide and the video appears. I can click on that. The video will start playing. I can finish playing the video.
I'm here with the infamous Notorious.
And click on it and go to the next slide. So this is the video slide. Remember once again that you cannot upload your own videos. However, you can give a YouTube link. In the multiple choice, what happens is that the user or the participant sees 3 options. And as somebody hits a button, so if I was to hit bullet text 2 now, you will see instantly that the options start appearing and displaying here in a multiple choice environment. 4 people have voted here. It is 2 people with 3 phones, 4 devices who are voting. But once you have a bunch of audience participating with you, their responses will start coming in real time and you can use that for your facilitation. The next one is called the multiple choice pie. If I was to select an option here, bullet text 3, you will see that instantly bullet text 3 has been given some points, and once again 4 people have voted, selected in various ways, and in real time the bullet have been assigned a weight which says how many people have voted and what percentage of the slice of the pie this represents. I go to the next slide. This is the part where people are allowed to type in their responses, right? So I am going to say, hello, this is interesting. I type that and send, and instantly that appears on my screen. I've participated as a participant from my phone here, and as I type and send it, this appears on my facilitator screen or the host screen. Somebody said interactive, that appears. And again, if there were 20 people sitting here and participating, this builds into some sort of a word cloud, and it is quite a sight to behold. Okay. So multiple people can participate in it, and all those words will start appearing on this screen. I am going to go now to the next slide. Somebody said enjoyable. So that appears here as well. So I go to the next slide now, in which you can type a much more detailed response. While this was a 2-word, 3-word response, I can in here type a much longer response that answers specific questions, let us say. I type this and send, and you will see that it spans into a much bigger place. One other participant said this is a much more nuanced response to your question. And as people type, as lots and lots of people type, this share in detail will slowly move up. These will come one below the other, and as you want, you can scroll. And somebody can ask a question right here, and this becomes your de facto chatting mechanism as well. If you wanted, you ask a question, ask for a much longer, thoughtful response here, and that appears. So that becomes the share in detail page. That takes care of the interactive pages. And what we have now is that we have 4 participants on this. And like I had said, some fun little names and a combination of an adjective and an animal name has been given. These are assigned randomly, and there's an icon there. So somebody has typed their name as participant 1. I am going to type my name. I am the Jolly Raccoon, as you can see here. I am participant 3, let us say. I submit, and you will see instantly the name changes. Obviously, you can have your participants give their real name, or you can ask them to change it to some other superhero name or something of that style. So all your participants in here, no matter how many they are, they will all start appearing here, one below the other. So this is the first thing that you do before you start and create a quiz. I now go to the quiz page, and you will see right here, the quiz does not start immediately, because once again, because this is a quiz, there is points at stake. You want people to be ready. People might not have their phone handy. They might be just engrossed in your session. They might have stepped out for a bit of a water. So you want to give them a little more time, give them a fair warning and say, I'm going to start the quiz now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, count down, and you hit the start quiz. Once you hit it, you will see that a countdown timer has begun. And on your participant screen as well, there is a timer that is running down. Now, depending on who is going to answer how, you are going to see that once the timer runs down, all the answers are shown all at once, because obviously you don't want options to, influence others. Unlike a response in a poll, the quiz has answers right and wrong. So 2 people have given right answers, those separate, and 1 person has given, 2 people have given wrong answers. So this is how it is going to be. As more and more people participate, the graph will adjust and it will show all in one shot what is right, what is wrong. Green is the right answer or answers, and red is the wrong answer or answers. And once you go to the next slide, you're going to see that there is a leaderboard, and 2 people should have scored points and 2 people should have scored 0 points. Let's go now to the next slide and see what happens. This is the leaderboard page. This is where the first participant has scored 1,050 points, the second has scored 1,034 points, the third has scored 0 points, and the fourth has scored 0 points. Once again, when there are lots of people, this is a scrollable list and that covers everything. Let's go to the next slide. Finally, I'll show you the value of these icons. Let's see that we have all these options visible here. I'm going to go on this one, and I'm going to see that there's an option that says reset all votes. I click on this. It's going to ask you, this impacts all slides. Are you sure? You say, okay. Now the quiz has been reset. If you go back to the multiple choice, that has been reset. If you go back to quick word responses, that has been reset. All of these things have been reset, and you can reuse this entire application once more. If I go back once more here, let's see this. If I'm on bullet page, let's say, and I present, now you will see all 3 bullets have appeared all at once, right? If I go back here and present and hit on right, all these are here because they have once been used. You can hit back and make them disappear, but they will remain visible for a while. So just before starting the session, you might want to click on this red button that says hide all bullets. You do that, it says it impacts all slides. You say okay, and you present. And the next time you go here, this will once again be in this format where the bullets will appear one after the other. So do the icons. Okay, so let me get rid of this and showcase to you what happens when I do the show all bullets. Some people don't like showing bullets one after the other. So you can always click show all bullets, say okay, click on present, and if you go right, all bullets are appearing all at once, all icons are appearing all at once. So that is the way you can do this. And that covers the all the aspects of display slides, interactive slides, quiz slides, and in general, how this thing works. Let us say I was here and I added a slide on this by mistake. This slide was not supposed to be here. This was supposed to be in the very end. Let us say I wanted this to be the thank you slide. And that slide does not make sense here. So I can right click on it, click on move to, and if I do that, it's going to say move the slide after which slide. And I'm going to say move this slide after leaderboard slide. I say fine, I click on OK, the page refreshes, and you will see that the thank you slide has appeared at the very end. Let's say by mistake, I added yet another slide at the end of thank you, and I did not want it. I can easily right click on this. I click on delete slide, say OK, that slide gets deleted. Now you're caught up on every aspect of the presentation. Thank you.